Real pleasure to have Pete Schlampp today, Executive Vice President, Product Development at Workday. He's got a huge, long career in analytics, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how Workday has become a very, very influential analytics app company. Pete, thank you for joining me. Spend a couple of minutes bragging about yourself and describe your role at Workday.
Vinny, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate you inviting me to your recording studio here. I joined Workday about 4.5 years ago via the acquisition of Platfora into Workday. I've been, Vinny, in Silicon Valley for over 2 decades and doing various startups that sometimes spent some time in larger companies after they were acquired. So I spent some time at Cisco Systems. And when this last company was acquired by Workday, I was lucky enough to have a role as a general manager and became responsible for Workday's analytics business. And if you remember, a few years ago, we introduced a product called Prism Analytics, and that was all about bringing external data into Workday and allowing you to analyze the data together with the data that was in the transactional system. And then we went on. That Prism's been really successful for us. And then we went on. We created new products like People Analytics and a roadmap of some other ones. But meanwhile, about a year and a half ago, I moved on from my role in leading analytics to being responsible for global product development at Workday. And that means across the entire spectrum of what we do, from our human capital management products that target the office of the CHRO to the financial management products for the office of the CFO, including planning and analytics and spend management as well. And so it's been quite a ride, especially given what happened. It was a year and a half ago that I took that job, and it was about a year and a half ago that the pandemic started. So it's been quite a ride over that time period.
Your Prism Analytics, your colleague Barbie McGann showed me the Vibe diversity product. So it's nice to see Prism Analytics is showing up in kind of new applications. But yeah, what a time to take over, right? Tell me the ride last 18 months. My God, you've survived. You guys have launched a whole bunch of new products, seem to have done okay, but describe to me what it's been like.
Right. I think, Workday was already thinking about how do we move faster in this changing world. And, at that time, that was part of that was our tagline, was Workday for a changing world. And we were thinking, how do we move faster? And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit, 2020 hit, and we realized that we had to really put that into effect for our customers. And so we responded in a few ways. It was a year that provided us a lot of specific reasons to build products and solutions, but also how to just kind of get out of the way and allow our customers to move faster too. One of the things that we did is we started thinking about solutions. And so Workday has been traditionally this application product company that has delivered apps like Workday Human Capital Management, Workday Payroll, Workday Financial Management, which are extremely configurable by our customers. But when it comes to creating new content, new ways to mix them together, we hadn't really focused on that before. And so we thought, hey, let's find ways to leverage ourselves and our partners to be able to mix things together in interesting ways to meet new problems for our customers. So solutions were born. A few of those came out in 2020. One of them that I was really proud of was vaccine management, which was this comprehensive way for our customers, companies, to think about their employees, whether they've been vaccinated, whether they have access to vaccines, allowing them to self-attest whether they have had the virus or not, whether they're in a place to come back to work, and providing kind of complete dashboard and planning capabilities for that. And as I mentioned the other day when we were talking, Workday's vaccine management solution actually enabled me through Workday to get my my vaccine. So I was also the beneficiary of that one as well. A couple other solutions that came out last year, Vibe Central, Vibe Index, like you just talked about with Barbary McGann. So solutions were really big for us.
By the way, Barbary also showed vaccine management in this series. So she's been
Did she show that? That's great.
She's got a few episodes ahead of you. You need to catch up.
I gotta check my notes with Barbary. Another big thing for us was employee experience. So as everybody went to remote work, I think many of the CHROs and CEOs in the world realized how important talent was and how important their employees were in keeping, making sure they were measuring, hearing the voice of the employee, et cetera. And although we had been thinking about this space for a while, it accelerated our thinking here. And so we acquired Peakon, which is this amazing company, which is out of the UK and Copenhagen, actually, where they're taking this focus on measuring the voice of employee and doing it in a very interesting way, sending out surveys. But I think a lot of people actually experienced survey fatigue last year. I don't know if you felt that way, Vinny, but Peakon has this great technology to be able to send the right questions to the right employees at the right time, and then using machine learning to predict certain outcomes that managers can experience. So we really doubled down on employee experience. That, as well as I'll say the user experience of our products, was really important. We hired a new chief design officer, a CDO. His name's Jeff Gelfuso. I can't wait for you to meet him at some point, Vinny. Brilliant guy, came from the consumer space, Facebook most recently. We really, we've always thought, and I know that you've heard Anil talk about this in the past, that we'd like to bring that consumer user experience to enterprise products. And Jeff is going to help us further do that. And really excited about what we're doing there. I'll say one last thing, Vinny, which is, a lot of both those, I gave a lot of examples on the office of the CHRO. On the office of the CFO, it's clear that moving fast is more important than ever. And thinking about doing a complete finance transformation in the middle of a pandemic, meaning I'm going to rip out the GL and change my financial management application from the ground up, or my ERP from the ground up, wasn't on a lot of people's minds last year. And so we tried to find new ways to do bite-sized transformations, fast, quick wins, quick ways to get value. So that is on-ramps like through planning or through Accounting Center, for instance.
Pete, you had an innovation summit for analysts a couple of weeks ago, and you showed off 50 of those small apps. It blew me away, right? So you're right. I mean, not everyone wanted to buy a new ERP system in the middle of that, crazy time. So I think that was great. You had those bite-sized applications.
Yeah, let me actually just show you a slide on that, Vinny.
Great.
Because I think you're right. That's this is an example of what you're talking about there. And starting to think about Workday as a platform for our customers to be able to innovate on, but also our partners to be able to innovate on as part of that solution journey, right? And in the past, we've talked to you about the fact that the Workday Cloud Platform and Workday Extend is the way to do that. And we've really extended our own thinking about that as well, where it's not just Extend, where you can build apps themselves, the things that you see kind of in the upper right-hand corner of this slide, where these are things that our partners, our customers and our partners have built and are available to them to use. But also, how do they build things on top of Prism, and how do they build things on top of planning? So now it's really these four things together: Extend, the Workday Integration Cloud to get data into Workday, Prism Analytics and Planning, where you can use templates to be able to bring data in, do certain types of calculations, certain types of modeling, this is becoming really a big platform for us. And so, like we said at the Innovation Summit, 50 new solutions and applications that are available through our partners. This has really just kind of exploded the value that our customers are able to get out of Workday.
You had another slide, Pete, that kind of showed what came out in 2020 and what came out in 2021. Do you have that too?
I do, yeah. Right, and so Vinny, we've become a big R&D organization. I think we're in the range of over 5,000 people today working on software in products and technology. And we had the Innovation Summit a couple of weeks ago. We talked about everything that we've worked on in 2020 and some of the things coming out in 2021, and there wasn't enough time, right? And so these are just a quick view of the new products and features that have come out. Too many to name, but some of the things I'll kind of point out is you look at things like the Career Hub. You look at things like Candidate Skills Match for recruiters. These are a bunch of features and products that have come out that have been based upon machine learning. You've heard us talk about the skills graph and the skills cloud in the past. You'll see how those technology investments get spread across the entire roadmap. And so a lot of investments that we started making 3 years ago have started to pay off for us in lots of new innovation coming out.
Salesforce also moved to this bite-size, quite a few bite-size last year. Many of them are verticalized. So maybe you should get your partners to start helping you build more vertical small apps. Because if you saw last year, telemedicine took off, last mile delivery took off, depending on the verticals, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of what I call edge applications took off. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we are actively doing that. I do know recently, Vinny, you had Webb Armentrout from Workday come on and talk about our partner ecosystem, which has also grown quite a bit in the last couple of years. And the way that we think about that is obviously partners are great to help our customers get live, deploy Workday. But on top of that, they also can provide a lot of specialized value in certain verticals and also for certain use cases. And so we think about this bite-sized idea, allowing our partners to go and bring their vertical or use case expertise to customers via that platform. So a couple of examples, things that we're working on going forward, an IFRS application for the financial services industry, funds transfer pricing application for the financial services industry, a healthcare labor distribution app that is powered by Workday Prism Analytics, but KPMG actually built that, a retail and hospitality cash flow planning accelerator that was built by Deloitte. And by the way, we never spent enough time talking about Workday Student, which is actually booming. And I'd love to tell you a little bit more about that. But there's a student demand planning solution that Huron built on top of Workday Adaptive Planning. And so we're not going to be able to address everything ourselves. And we definitely want to tap into our partners who have so much great specialization in these fields to come and deliver that via the Workday platform.
So Pete, I presume these applications, these analytical, I think you call them data-infused applications. I love that term, by the way. Work best when the feeder systems are Workday, correct? What's your vision there,
right,
in the broader enterprise?
Yeah, so I'll just for the audience that didn't hear us talk about that the other day, I'll back up and say, you've heard our vision around plan, execute, analyze in the past. We believe that all customers, all businesses, they plan, they execute, they analyze what they did, and then they go back to planning again. And it's just this constant cycle. And for a long time, our product strategy has been about how do we make that plan, execute, analyze loop faster, shorter, allowing people to get through that, more times in a given period of time. And that, what does that enable? It enables things like continuous planning, rolling forecasting, those types of things. We've done that by deeply integrating technologies like Prism Analytics and the adaptive planning technology into the Workday core. And we've got a name for that, by the way. It's we call it the unified data core. So what that means is it means that the transactional data from the Workday transactional applications, the planning data, and the outside operational data is right together in one core with a single engine that views that data and processes it based upon the use case. So we've been working on that for a while, and that really opened our eyes to why think about 3 different applications where you've got the transactional system, the analytics system, and the planning system. We should be blending these applications together, and that will kind of result in even the step function of faster plan, execute, analyze cycles. So that's the idea behind data-infused apps. Starting to break down the barriers of what a typical enterprise application is, bringing these things together into one workflow that's super seamless for the end user.
So Pete, you almost, I know you got a big development team, but you've almost reshaped Workday given your analytics background. You've heard so much about that in the last year, but now they promoted you and said, wait a minute, you got to take care of everything. So tell me how your role changes. Tell me your vision for the transactional systems too.
Well, we're not slowing down at all. I think, and in reality, Vinny, although a lot of what I just said has to do with analytics and planning and bringing those closer to the transactional applications, we are the surface area and the new areas of innovation around the applications for the Office of the CHRO and the CFO have expanded even faster than these data-infused apps. The vision really, Vinny, is to continue innovation with bringing in insights from our analytics applications and planning by creating better user experiences and better workflows than you can possibly get anywhere else by kind of weaving these in across the Workday platform, and then by doing what we call, which is basically empowering the human, elevating the human experience by bringing in machine learning and AI. And so you see the investments in things like I mentioned before, the Skills Cloud, but then the Universal Business Cloud, and being able to do the similar types of things inside of financials. You see those investments paying off long term. So it's really those 3 key vectors of innovation that we are focused on across the overall portfolio.
So Pete, I had a chance to present to some chief data officers this week, and I kept saying, my God, 2020 brought us so much external new streams, right? Everything from John Hopkins COVID data to shortened season data. By the way, my city went to all 3 of the major sports finals, and we won 2 of them. So I was all over the shortened season stats, right? So some people will say there's asterisk next to it. The census, obviously the political polling and all that. I mean, last year just seemed like we had so many new data streams, right? And we had new players. We had Snowflake go public, Palantir. It just seemed like the whole data world kind of 2020 will go down as a kind of a milestone in the evolution. You watched machine learning, analytics for a long, long time. What excites you as you look ahead?
Right. Well, I would start, Vinny, by saying I think in my own personal background, the idea of big data, which really back in 2010, 2011, big data was what everybody was talking about. And in reality, big data just became data, right? It just became more data, data everywhere. It wasn't necessarily huge volumes of it, but how do I get access to it? How do I make it actually valuable to me? And if it's in a bunch of different disparate systems, then it's not really valuable to me. So I think a lot of the things that have happened in the last couple of years is how to bring it together in a way that is accessible. And Snowflake has been an amazing success story. Just making large volumes of data easily accessible, easily analyzed. It's just been amazing to watch them. So hats off to those folks. Now on the other side, though, the thing I would love to talk about a little bit here is machine learning and machine learning for enterprise. You and I, as consumers, use machine learning every day. I'm blown away every time there's a new iOS update and there's something cool and new that my phone does for me that anticipates the way that I want to use it. And that the consumer side has just kind of just gone really, really fast. The enterprise side has been held back, I believe. It's been held back because consumers are much more willing to say, yes, I'll click through and I'll sign the waiver to allow my data to be used, than a business would be to do the same thing with their data. Workday stepped back and said, we believe that we have incredibly important data sitting inside the Workday cloud that we could use to elevate human performance, but we have to do it in a way that respects the willingness of our customers to use it. And that's not easy. That starts with legal agreements. It starts with customers saying, yes, I want to opt in for this. And it goes all the way through the technology and the infrastructure and the way that you store the data, the way that you process the data, where the data is from a location standpoint, depending upon what country it's in. And so we have, and my hat's off to Cheyenne, my colleague who runs the technology side of the house and the machine learning team. We have built an incredible infrastructure for doing enterprise grade machine learning. It has taken us 5 years to get there. And now the fruits of that are starting to pay off. So remember that slide I showed you before about all of the innovations that came out in 2020 and 2021. Those have been built upon this investment that we started 5 years ago, and some of the data collection that started maybe 2-3 years ago, to finally paying off in these incredible features like supplier invoice automation, for instance. So if you're using our Workday spend management tools, you can now, or at the end of this year, the process of bringing in a supplier invoice from accepting the invoice all the way through payment can be completely automated. And that's all through using that data. And the customers opted into it. They opted into it specifically. Their data was very protected. We thought about all of the different concerns there. And the other thing is, if they want to opt out at any time, they can opt out. So they're in control. And it's something that it's an investment that we made that I believe is paying off big time for our customers.
Pete, you would have been proud what I told the data officers. I said, you need to allow your multi-tenant cloud vendors access to look across the multi-tenants. I said, you've held them back, and GDPR and stuff like that has held them back. And secondly, I said, you need to challenge your single tenant on-premise vendors. What the hell are they? They can't access multiple data centers. So why are they pretending to talk about machine learning? So
yeah.
This is great. Any other final thoughts?
No, I just wanted to say, I think that your shirt is amazing, and that's why I decided to wear a shirt just like yours today. I'm missing the jacket though. I'm going to do that next time.
I have way too many French blue shirts, but they show pretty well on Zoom. So
They do. I can't wait, Vinny, for us to be able to get back together live and go to Workday Rising one of these days. I'm really excited to see you live again, maybe Innovation Summit next year. I'm excited for our Conversations for a Changing World, which is coming up this fall, and having some other great conversations. We'd love to see you there.
Pete, it's amazing what you've done in the last 18 months, especially given what 2020 was like. So kudos. Thanks for the time. Stay well.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me on.